Fresh and Fit Moneyclips. Subscribe now and elevate your financial game with Myron Fresh and special guest Adam Sosnick of Saucecast on the Fresh and Fit Podcast Money Monday show. Join this exclusive episode as they dive into dynamics of stock markets, crypto, and financial awareness. Tune in now for invaluable insights that can reshape your approach to finance. Don't miss out. Stay ahead of the curve with Myron Fresh and Adam Sosnick on the Fresh and Fit Podcast Money Monday show.
Adam, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, brother.
We know who you are.
Exactly.
Look, we did a fire interview with
That was
Adam,
awesome.
Yeah.
The last week?
Last Thursday.
And it's already
4 days ago.
830K views already on YouTube.
83K.
83K.
Yeah.
There you go.
You throw an extra zero in there, it's all good.
Yeah.
They won't know.
biggie.
They won't know.
So, Adam, we know who you are, man.
Yeah.
But can you introduce yourself to the people?
For sure. Respect. So my name's Adam Sosnick. Everyone calls me Sauce. So everyone, Adam Sauce. And I co-host the PBD podcast on Valuetainment with Patrick Bet-David, who a lot of people know as like a big-time businessman. And that guy's as real as it gets. And I grew up here in Miami. I'm a local boy done good. I 305 in the house for sure. And I'm a full-on rags to riches story. So I'm an open book. You can Google me if you want to, yo. And nothing off limits today. And basically, I'm sure we'll get into it. You know, my mission at the end of the day is I was a jack of all trades, had a million different jobs, club promoter.
Take us through it, bro.
Yeah, I
Take
was.
tell us the rags to riches story. Man.
I'll tell you the rags to riches story, but and then my purpose right now is to basically break down finance into a language that everybody can understand.
Right.
So I'll give you the long story short. Basically, so I grew up here in Miami. I was a public school kid my whole life, and my last 3 years of high school, I got a scholarship to a private school called Miami Country Day because I was a football player and a basketball player. And I went from being like the one white boy on the basketball team to being like there was only one kid on the basketball team. That was black kid on the basketball team.
Exactly. Miami, let alone on the basketball
exactly. So like I saw both sides of the track here in Miami. You know, as you guys know, Miami is a complete melting pot. You know, Cuban, Jamaican, Haitian, Jewish, black, white. Yeah, don't know.
Big man.
Yeah, for sure. And just seeing both sides of the track, and I was like, oh shit. And you know, I had a piece of shit Honda Accord that my mom gave me, color of rust, where in public school, it's like, whatever, you got a shitty car, you're one of like the hundreds. You show up to the private school and everyone's got, you know, private school in fucking Miami. Are we talking about BMWs, Mercedes, you know, Hummers, the whole thing? And I'm like, oh shit. And for me, my crutch was always comedy. So I did stand-up comedy for a long time. You know, we'll get into all that. But I went from like this like weird, like how did I end up in this school, like kid, like kind of awkward. And then by senior year, I was captain of the football team, captain of the basketball team, just like running the show, shitty ass car and all, you know.
Speaking of guys being horn dogs, it's Blue Chew, man. Check out Blue Chew, guys. If you guys have issues with erections or whatever it may be and not being able to get a hard on for your girl, get some goddamn Blue Chew, man, so you guys can perform in the bedroom and not have some issues where your girl don't want to take you seriously or be with you.
And look, guys, if you want to have your girlfriend and a girl that you're looking at lustfully and smash her too, I'm telling you guys, you want a hard on to be a wreck for both girls, bro. I'm telling you.
Right.
So tap into that. There's a link down below as well.
Yeah, click the link, use our code, get a discount.
30% off.
Completely discreet. You don't got to go into a doctor's office or have any of these awkward ass conversations, man. Go check it out. Link is below. Get in there because a lot of y'all suffer from erectile dysfunction, man. Stop watching porn, goddammit.
Jerk off normally, guys. Get Blue Chew before the date, or actually when you get to your room, take the Blue Chew so you can smash all night long. I'm telling you, bro. Keeps you up.
All right.
Basically, when I got back to Miami, I was a club promoter. I was a hotel manager. I was doing stand-up comedy. Shout out to Chris. I did some substitute teaching for a little bit.
He was a sub. Gosh.
It was 2006, 2007, right before the recession. I got a job as a cold caller for a startup financial firm hedge fund up in Boca. I knew nothing about finance. I knew nothing about insurance, investments, everything I did. Nothing. I just knew that from all my club promoting days and stand-up comedy, I just wasn't scared. I just was like, yo, whatever that it is, you need to get on the phones and make sales and network, whatever.
Yeah.
I had it. So I went from my first year in that business, I made $5 fucking grand in a whole year.
1 year?
Yeah, exactly. And then my second year
What do you
made
eat,
$100
nigga?
grand. Yeah, I was like literally crashing on friends' couches.
How old are you at this point now?
I'm 26, 27
And
at
this
that
is
point.
circa
yeah.
2007,
2006, 2007, right around there. So I went from, making $5 my first year, made $100 grand. Then the recession happened. Yeah, the recession happened, went back down to like $40 I'm very open about this. And then cha-ching. And then all of a sudden, like light switch. It's kind of like, like the Malcolm Gladwell, you got to, put in 10,000 hours to be an expert at something like that. And then all of a sudden I started making money, $100 grand, $200 grand, $300 grand, $400 grand, $500,000 a year. And I'm like, holy shit, at the age of 35, I'm a fucking millionaire. This is insane. Right. But I was always, so like my whole mantra, like the theme of my show and everything, and I'll get into all that, is save that money. And we'll get into all that. But basically, while I was making all this money, I was just stacking and investing. And so that's it. So basically, how I ended up in social media, just to kind of wrap this up and open it up, was I met Patrick Bet David in 2010 at a financial conference. And we were just two dudes working out in the fucking gym.
Wow.
And
really?
yeah, and what I call these conferences, I call it the MPS, male, pale, and stale crowd. It's just like all a bunch of old white dudes, right? And I'm a white guy, but I'm not pale or stale, or I mean, maybe I can get some sun, but whatever. I ain't fucking stale.
Yeah.
So I bonded with Pat, who's a 6'4" Iranian guy, and we're like, "What's your deal? All right, cool. Let's keep in touch." And then every year I saw him, and this guy was getting bigger and bigger and bigger in his field, and I was getting bigger too, but not like him.
Was he on YouTube at that point?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, not at all. He was just starting his financial
This
company.
is 2011,
2010, 2000,
Okay.
exactly. 2011, 2012, exactly. 2012 to be exactly.
Okay.
And he had not started Valuetainment, because I think Valuetainment started in like 2014.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows Patrick or Valuetainment, like the guy is an absolute G. And what happened was when I first met him, it was in the gym, like the homies working, like when I met you, yo, what up?
Yeah.
The next time I met him, he had two people surrounding him, like a CMO and a CFO. Hey, how you guys are doing? By the third or fourth time I saw him, there was a crowd around him at this financial conference, and like his handlers were like, "Oh, excuse me, who are you? Like, why?" Like, I'm like, "Yo, Pat, this is like what?" He's like, "Yo, let Adam in." I'm like, "What the fuck is going on around here?" You know?
He's made it.
He made it, and then anyway, we had a conversation.
Was
He's
this
like,
a year later or 2 years later?
No, this is like 5 years later.
5 years later, okay.
So, I'm a big advocate of playing the long game.
Gotcha.
Like, if you're trying to get rich quick, I can't help you. If you want to get rich slow, I got you.
So just so the people know the timeline, 2012 you meet him, about 2017 you run back into him, and now he has this whole detail with him. Okay.
Exactly. Something like that. Right around that time frame. You're absolutely right, Myron. And then he says, yo, 2016, because it was right around the election.
Okay.
It's like 4 years later. He goes, yo, have you started doing any content on social media? I go, no, I actually haven't. I was always that guy late to the game. Like, people had Friendster. I'm like, Friendster? Like, I got a fucking cell phone. I'll holler at my friends. You remember Friendster?
I don't even know
It was
what that is.
before MySpace.
Oh, shit.
Did you guys even have MySpace?
I had MySpace.
I had
Okay.
High Five. In Caribbean, that's what they have. High Five.
Okay.
What?
There it is. Shout out to the Caribbean MySpace. High five.
Yeah, man. You weren't in the Caribbean, so you wouldn't know.
So I was always late to the game on all this stuff. So by the time I got MySpace, people were like, MySpace? We're already on Facebook. I'm like, I just got MySpace. So by the time that people got onto Facebook, I'm like, oh my God, it like took me years. They're like, you're getting on Facebook. Everyone's on Instagram now, dog. Like, I was always missing the boat. And by the time that I got onto Instagram, 2016.
Oh yeah, you're late.
Everyone was like, yo, like, don't try to like compete with the cool crowd. Like, you're gonna lose. Like, the cool kids have already done the yachts, the boats, the this, the that. Like, I've already done that. So if you're gonna do something on social media, do it with something business related, financial related, because nobody was really hitting that yet. So I had a conversation with Patrick. He's like, yo, you should start doing a money show. And basically what I started doing is I teamed up with my buddy who was a producer for CNN and CNBC. He's like, dude, take all my equipment. I'll give you some people. Go around and just start fucking interviewing anyone and everybody about money. And I started with interviewing financial advisors. I started interviewing financial advisors like crazy. I'd go to these financial conferences. I'd go to one a month. All these guys I was doing business with. And I would say, hey, question for you, Bob, Rick, Jim, Susie, whatever. If you had one piece of advice for millennials when it comes to money, what would it be? And then I just chopped up all their responses. And the most common response was, save your money. Like, you're going to need it. Save your money, save your money. And so many. And then obviously there was some other invest in real estate. And, this is pre-crypto. But everything revolved around saving, because when you can save, you can invest. So I got that. And then, you familiar with like juxtaposition? Like there's one thing and there's one thing completely fucking opposite.
Yeah.
So I started going to events like Ultra here in Miami, Rolling Loud here in Miami. Shout out to my boys on Rolling Loud, Matt Zingler and Tariq Sharif. Anyways, I started going to these events, Coachella and Okeechobee, whatever, places where young people hang out. And I would ask them, like, save your money or spend that money. What do you think the most common response was at these festivals?
Spend that money for marketing.
Yo, spend that shit. YOLO, live it up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, damn. The young people, the Gen Z, the millennials are just spending, making it rain.
Yep.
Or if you have, like, the old wealthy financial advisors that are basically saying, save your money, save your money. And I was like, okay, I'm on to something. And that became my mission. I think Jordan Peterson said something I'm going to butcher it, but Jordan Peterson said, what's worse, your fear of failure or the fear of like paralyzing you, not able to
regret.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. The fear of regret
or fear of regret.
I'd much rather fail and be like, fuck, at least I tried, than be an 80-year-old salty old bastard. It's like, I regret that I did. Yeah. Like, there's nothing worse than that. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So what would you say to detractors, right, that say, well, you can't save yourself to be rich? A lot of
that's
people,
true. I actually agree with that.
Okay.
I would say, for instance, I'm not worth $10 billion. I'm worth $10 million. I'm worth $1.2 million. Like, that's my net worth. Mm-hmm. It's very important to know your assets and your liabilities. Your net worth are your assets minus your liabilities. One of the things I'll say to your point, Myron, is you can't save your way to becoming a millionaire.
Yeah.
You're going to have to invest. But in order to invest, you need to save. So when I started asking all these questions, I basically realized, hold on, there's like a handful of specific principles that you need to master in order to win the money game, because it's a money game out there, just like it's the dating game, it's the money game, everything's a game, and you got to win it. That's capitalism. So I boiled it down to these 6 principles, and certainly one of them is saving and another one is in investing, and we can go over what those things are, but the name of the game is to end up what's called chilling. So right now I'm chilling, and now because I still have my job at the hedge fund, and that's just money, income coming in. I found my niche.
Do you work full time doing that?
Yeah, full time with that.
Okay,
still.
so you work for the hedge fund,
exactly.
And you're doing the YouTube stuff on the side.
It's like how you do Fresh and Fit, during the day, but then at night you're doing the after hours thing. I'm trying to use an analogy here.
Enough.
But so I have 2 careers going on.
Monday through Friday, working for the hedge fund.
I haven't worked there in the office in 7 years, so I've been working remotely. So like, if no one told me a pandemic was going on in 2020, I would have just still been working away at home and just doing my thing. So
you're working for this hedge fund now, still, and doing the YouTube grind.
Yes.
So your earned income, I'm assuming, is coming from that hedge fund, and is that what you live off of, or do you get your dividends back from the stock market and your investments?
I reinvest all my dividends, so I don't touch the stock market. The whole point of investing is hopefully that you don't have to touch it, because if you're following these so I'll just tell you these 6 principles I have is like,
let's do it.
Okay, so if you want to win the money game, you need to have a game plan for your money. A lot of people will call that a budget or cash flow, and within that budget you need to understand your income and your expenses. Income is what's coming in the door, expenses are what's going out the door. Mm-hmm. So analogy that I always use is like, I don't know if people are sports fans out there, but the Phoenix Suns in the early 2010s, it was Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, these guys, they'd put up 125 points a game.
Running and gunning, baby.
Running and gunning. The problem was they gave up 126.
Yep.
So they're putting up all these fucking points. So it's like the equivalent of a guy who makes 200 grand but spends 210 grand a year. So I don't care if you're making 50, I don't care if you're making 80, you have to spend less than you make. But it's all about having a budget, and it's because this is Money Mondays, right? We'll just just kind of break this down, within your budget, everyone, whoever's listening to has the same big 3 expenses. I don't care who you are or what you do. Everyone has their housing, their transportation, and their food and beverage. If you can manage those 3 things and get those under control, obviously you have all, additional expenses. You'll understand your budget and your net worth will increase. So that's number 1 to win the money game, is you got to understand the cash flow, the budget, however you want to call it, have a game plan for your money. Number 2, before you can win the money game, don't lose. So this is where things can maybe get a little controversial, is my opinion. The worst 4-letter word that you can possibly have is debt, D-E-B-T, debt. Now, is there decent debt, like mortgages? Potentially, yes, but it's still negative interest rates. But then you get into credit cards, car loans, what I call the C's of debt: consumer loans, credit cards, personal loans, college loans, cribs, which are basically mortgages. You don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Marriage,
and then marriage. That's a whole other thing.
Stupid.
And then the worst type of debt you can possibly find yourself in, the C's of debt, are cash advances. These are basically payday loans where you're getting just lynched by the payday loan company for 400%.
Loan
it's just,
sharks, etc.
It's disgusting. So I ask people, all right, how much debt do you have? All right, I got 40 grand worth of debt. What's the interest rate? Man, I don't even know. You don't know the interest rate? Oh, God. Like, go on I'll never forget. It was a college basketball player that was staying with my buddy who played in the NBA. He was staying with him, and he's like, yo, talk to Adam. He'll G you up when it comes to money. He's like, oh, okay, cool. What's up? I'm like, he owned like $2 grand on his credit card. He's like, what should I do? I go, what's the interest rate? He goes, I don't know. I go, pull it up. He pulls up his Chase account, looks at it, and he goes, 24.9%. I go, do you have any idea how bad that is? He goes, no. I go, it's the fucking worst. It's like the highest they can charge you.
Seriously.
So anyway, understand the amount.
That's the scary part.
Variable interest rates.
Standard.
So understand how bad you're losing the interest rate game. You can either lose the interest rate game, debt, right? How bad it is, or win the interest rate game, which is investing. So understand your debt. Basically, I have a whole budgeting. If you want to go on to Valuetainment, I can have the link. I'll send all this stuff. But basically, the name of the debt, the amount of the debt, the interest rate. All right, cool. So you have a game plan for your money. You understand that number 1, have a game plan. You understand number 2, don't lose. Like being that I was a football player in college and hang out with a lot of athletes, I like to use sports analogies. Debt is like basically turnovers in football. It's pick sixes, interceptions, getting sacked, fumbles, the whole freaking thing.
You're no longer on offense. You're on defense.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because you lose the ball, you lose your
field
mind,
position.
essentially.
You're going backwards. So debt is losing the interest rate game. So once you can basically figure out your debt and figure out your cash flow, you can start save that money.
Yeah.
And basically, the stats are ridiculous these days. 3 out of 4 people are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of Americans don't have $500 for an emergency. 40% of Americans don't have $1,000 to their name.
Yep.
And 90% of Americans buy things they can't afford. So it's just like it's a pandemic of just personal finance. We all go to school. We all take the same useless classes: biology, algebra, chemistry, trigonometry. No fucking money classes.
Nope.
So it took me 10 years of finance to basically be like, oh shit, this is what it is. This is what it. Okay, all right. Why didn't they tell me that? Of like piecing this all together as a former nightlife guy, comedian who turned into a financial guy. Like I had to learn on the go. And then once you can save, so I tell people for the most part, stack 10 G's.
Okay.
90% of Americans cannot even get to that amount.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're like the one person in the audience, it's like 10 G's, bro. My monthly nut is 10 G's. Okay, amazing. You're awesome. You're killing it.
Yep.
Save 50 G's, whatever it is. So most people tell you to save, 3 to 6 months, 12 months for an emergency fund, a rainy day fund, a cushion. Dude, I'm the type of person that's like, save 2 years, bro. Once you stack up cash and you start investing, here's the trick. Once you can stack up enough cash and you start investing, the goal is when you start investing is to never have to pull that cash out.
There you go.
Because you can get the compound interest effect. So if you guys familiar with the financial company Vanguard?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so Vanguard.
I got an account with them.
Respect. Awesome. They're a great company. So I read the founder of their company is called Jack Bogle. So I read his book called The Boglehead's Guide to Investing.
He created the index fund, didn't he?
Exactly.
Bam,
so
baby.
Boom. Index funds.
He did an interview
mutual
with,
funds.
What's the guy's name? The speaker. The white guy. Tony Robbins.
Jack Bogle did
Yeah.
before he passed. You're saying?
I think he just
He's old as shit. I think he died a few years ago. He did die a few years ago.
I
He was
think he
90
created,
something.
if I'm not mistaken, he created the index fund in like the 1970s.
Correct.
And the only reason this is fresh in my head, guys, I studied all this stuff in early February on my birthday. I was like, all right, in 2022, I'm going to get, as you guys know, I'm in crypto and real estate. I was like, I'm going to get into the stock market now.
Yeah.
So I took like 24 hours where I just studied nothing but index funds and ETFs, and I'm all indexed out.
Smart.
There you go.
That's
But
smart.
anyway,
Listen to Myron, yo.
But yeah, can you break it down for the people? Real
Yeah.
quick?
So
what those are?
I read his book. I've read too many books to name when it comes to finance, and I'm not a huge reader. I'm not like I'm a geek. I'm gonna read like I'm just a club guy.
Yeah.
But I've definitely found a passion for reading about this kind of stuff. So I read his book called The Boglehead's Guide to Investing. And essentially, I'll break it down like this. He kind of hypes it up. He's like, y'all ready to invest? Who's ready to invest? Like, let me get some hands up. Who's ready to invest? And I'm like, yo, me, motherfucker. Like, I want to invest, you know? And he's like, well, before you do that, do these three things. And essentially, he's like, make sure you eliminate all your high interest credit card debt.
Yeah.
Have a game plan for your money, a budget, and then what he also says, obviously stack cash. But here's the kicker: go from having a paycheck mentality to a net worth mentality. 75% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't think a month down the road, 3 months down the road, a year down the road. Once you've stacked enough cash, you can kind of like sit back and be like, all right, what do I want to do 6 months from now, a year from now? And that's the power of investing, is when you can stack that cash. That's why I say save that money is so important, because once you can get over that save portion and get to the investing portion, sky's the limit. So
just so for the people so they understand, get that 6 months to 2 years of savings.
I mean, for me, I'm a big advocate of saving more than you think you need.
Okay. So so we'll say 2 years, right?
I would say, let's just say a year.
Okay,
sure.
A year. And I agree with you 100% that 6 months is bare minimum, 3 months
bare
is
minimum.
nothing, and
3 months is nothing.
Nothing. And then
bare
then
minimum 6 months.
Is
I would recommend a year, and if you're like me and you just want to stack 2
years,
2 years, and then you have enough cushion, you don't have to worry about investing.
So you keep that money fiat, whatever it is. So you have so it's liquid, you got it at all times. Then you take everything past that, and it's immediately invested into, in your case, the stock market. So can you tell the people a little bit about your what an index fund is, an ETF is, and then what you personally have? Sure.
So I started, and the people are like, oh my God, that's so boring. Yeah, sometimes boring works. I started with getting a 401k, straight up. I get a 401k through work, for the financial firm, the hedge fund.
Yep.
And they match it. So every year I'm maxing out my 401k. I think the max these days, it was 18,000. Now it's 19,000. So some people might say, dude, I can't put 18,000 into a 401k every year. All right, what can you put? 1,000? 2,000? 5,000? Start with something. Right?
And I'm assuming your firm, just real quick, do they match your...
They match, exactly. They match up to, I think, believe 6%.
Nice.
Correct.
Jeez.
So I'm getting another, 5 Gs, whatever it is, from the firm. So every year I'm getting 25 grand, whatever the number is, into my 401k. And I've been doing that since 2008. But if basically the analogy that I'm getting at is, if you were going to put your money on, the Patriots or the Kansas City Chiefs or the Green Bay Packers, you would have lost.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yep.
But the whole point of an index fund is stop trying to pick the 1 or 2 teams you think is going to win. Just buy the NFL. Just buy the NFL, and some teams are going to do well, and some teams are going to shit the bed, but you're betting on the NFL. So essentially, an index fund or an S&P 500 is you're betting on America.
The top 500 companies.
500 companies in the United States.
So go ahead.
No, go.
All I was going to say was just for the people, I always say, think of it as if you want to get an Oreo cookie and Chips Ahoy and maybe another cookie, right? If you buy one Oreo, it's going to be $5, but if you buy an index fund of Oreo, Chips Ahoy, etc., small pieces of it you can buy it at a cheaper price versus paying $5 for that Oreo. Now you could pay $2 and own a portion of it, as well as a bunch of other cookies in there. That's going to lower your risk, right?
Yes.
Because if you buy one individual cookie, you're staking all your money in that cookie. So an index fund, guys, with the S&P 500, take the 500 top companies in the United States, and you're basically diversifying your risk among the top 500 companies. So all of them would have to fail for you to lose all your money, and in that case, well, it's probably the judgment day.
So, for instance, there's day trader and there's a decade trader. There's timing the market, try to time the market and get in and get out, which is impossible to do.
Yeah.
Or there's time in the market. That's me. So the day traders are kind of like just, all right, they got lucky on a stock and then they lost money, and it's like the crypto trader, they're in, they're out. That's to me, that's just nonsense. You're never going to get ahead like that. That's kind of like trying to get rich quick. And some people do, let's say 1 out of 100, but 99, they're going to lose. The people that try to get rich slow, use compound interest, eighth wonder of the world, max out their 401ks, max out their Roth IRA, do it the right way. Over time, those guys are going to
It's a very safe way to build wealth. And
there you have it. A wealth of financial wisdom from Myron Fresh and special guest Adam Sosnick of Saucecast on the Fresh and Fit Podcast Money Monday show. Stay tuned for more dynamic discussions. Until next time, keep those financial goals in focus and stay ahead of the game with the Fresh and Fit Podcast. Push it to the limit.